On November 6, 2025, the British Army declared the Ajax armored fighting vehicle ready for operations. 10 weeks later, the government took that declaration back. £5.5 billion, 589 vehicles. The first wholly new armored fighting vehicle to enter British service since the Challenger 2 arrived in the late 1990s. Ajax was built to replace a reconnaissance fleet that first rolled out of a Coventry factory in 1971, a fleet that had already served 9 years past the date it was supposed to be retired. The declaration was supposed to close a decade of scandal. Instead, 16 days later, soldiers came off an exercise on Salisbury Plain reporting symptoms, and the entire fleet was ordered not to move. So what took so long? And why did a vehicle that had already survived hearing injuries, frozen payments, and 3 parliamentary maulings fail inside a fortnight of being declared fit for war? The vehicle Ajax replaces was designed around one idea. A reconnaissance vehicle should be light enough to go where heavier armor cannot follow. The combat vehicle reconnaissance tracked family, built by Alvis in Coventry, entered service in 1971. The Scimitar variant weighed under 8 tons. Its ground pressure was lower than that of the boot worn by the soldier standing beside it. That means it crossed peat bog, paddy, and soft sand that would have swallowed a main battle tank whole. It could be flown, it could be dropped, and it could reach 50 miles per hour on a road with a crew of 3 inside. That design was tested in the hardest possible way. In 1982, 2 troops of B Squadron of the Blues and Royals took Scimitars to the Falkland Islands, where they became the only armored vehicles used in action by British forces in that campaign. They crossed ground the planners had written off. In 1991, in the Gulf, Scimitar crews used high-velocity, armor-piercing rounds from the 30mm Rarden cannon to destroy Iraqi T-55 tanks, a light reconnaissance vehicle killing armor it had never been built to fight. Bosnia followed, Kosovo followed, Iraq in 2003, then Helmand. Its original out-of-service date was 2014. It did not leave. Instead, the Ministry of Defense rebuilt it. The Scimitar Mark II placed the turret on a Spartan hull with an uprated engine and blast-attenuating seats, delivered under an urgent operational requirement in September 2011. Those vehicles went to Nar-e-Sarai with the 9th and 12th Royal Lancers, watching over the main supply routes. One Scimitar crew from the Queen's Dragoon Guards struck a buried charge and walked away without a scratch. Their vehicle commander, Lieutenant Peter Gordon Finlayson, said afterwards that it felt like a car crash and that all credit belonged to the Scimitar. But the vehicle was fighting a war it was never designed for. Its aluminium armor was thin against modern buried charges. Its cannon was fed by 3 round clips and was not stabilized, which means the gunner had to stop the vehicle to shoot accurately in an environment where stopping was how crews died. Its systems were analog in a war being fought through data links. Parts were running out, the Scimitar was finally withdrawn from British service in April 2023, and 23 of them were donated to Ukraine, where a 1970s British reconnaissance vehicle went straight back into a pure conflict. For roughly 9 years, British formation reconnaissance ran on a platform that was already obsolete on paper. What replaced it is not a lighter vehicle. It is 5 times heavier. The Ajax weighs around 38 tons in its baseline form, with growth capacity to somewhere between 42 and 43 tons depending on the fit. To put that in perspective, a Sherman tank of the Second World War weighed roughly 30 tons, and a Panzer IV around 25. Britain has replaced an 8-ton Scout with a reconnaissance vehicle heavier than the medium tanks that fought across Normandy. That weight costs air portability, it costs bridge classification, and it costs strategic deployability. What it buys is a shaped hull, modular armor, and a crew compartment that can absorb what killed lighter vehicles in Iraq and Afghanistan. The main armament is the 40mm CT-40 cannon, built by CTA International, a joint venture between BAE Systems and KNDS. It fires cased telescoped ammunition, which means the projectile sits inside the cartridge case surrounded by propellant rather than in front of it. That means the round is far shorter, the feed system can sit along the elevation axis, and the turret does not need the internal volume that conventional 40mm ammunition would demand. The practical consequence is a gun that can fire accurately on the move from a vehicle small enough to still call itself reconnaissance. The manufacturer states its rounds carry roughly 4 times the effect of the 30mm Rarden they replace, and crews can stow more of them. That is a vendor figure and should be read as 1. Here's the part that explains why this vehicle cost what it cost. Ajax is not really a gun platform at all. Underneath it runs an open architecture data backbone, rated at 20 gigabits per second, capable of capturing and processing more than 6 terabytes of information. Electro-optical and infrared sensors feed a commander's sight with full 360-degree coverage, and unlike the Scimitar, that view is available to every crew position rather than to the commander alone. Acoustic arrays detect and locate incoming gunfire. Laser warning receivers detect being targeted. An auxiliary power unit lets the vehicle sit silent with its engine off and keep watching, which is the difference between a scout that hides and a scout that is heard from 2 kilometers away. That is the real purchase. Britain did not buy a light tank. It bought a sensor that can survive being shot at, feeding targets to artillery and rocket launchers sitting far behind it. 6 variants share the hull. Ajax carries the turret and does the reconnaissance and strike work. Ares carries dismounted troops forward. Athena is the command vehicle. Argus does engineer reconnaissance. Atlas recovers. Apollo repairs. Before the capability declaration, the fleet had fired more than 20,000 cannon rounds and driven more than 42,000 kilometers in trials. That is roughly the circumference of the planet. It included cold weather firing in Sweden at temperatures down to minus 36 degrees Celsius. If you follow British defense procurement and you want these breakdowns as they happen, subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps this analysis reach the people looking for it. Because the harder question is not what Ajax does, it is what Britain turned down to get it. In March 2010, the Defense Secretary Bob Ainsworth announced that the ASCOD-based design from General Dynamics had won the Future Rapid Effect System Specialist Vehicle competition. The government cited improved protection, longer-range sensors, value for money, and 73% British content. A £500 million demonstration contract followed that July. The manufacture contract for 589 vehicles was signed in September 2014. The platform it beat was the CV90, offered by BAE Systems. The case for the CV90 was strong, and it deserves stating honestly. By 2010, it was already in service in significant numbers across several armies, with over 1,000 vehicles fielded, against roughly 230 vehicles in the Ascod family. It was combat-proven. BAE offered to move production to Newcastle. Its risk profile was lower because the design already existed and already worked. And history has been kind to that argument. Since 2022, the CV90 has won order after order, including 246 vehicles for the Czech Republic and 152 for Slovakia, and it has fought in Ukraine. The case that beat it was growth. The ASCOD hull was rated to 42 tons, with a transmission good for 45, and British planners wanted headroom for 30 years of added armor, sensors, and electronics. British industrial content mattered, cost on paper mattered, and the requirement itself was extraordinary, running to roughly 1,200 separate capability demands. There was a third path Britain did not take. The French bought the same CT-40 cannon and put it on the Jaguar, a wheeled 6x6 reconnaissance vehicle. France signed in 2014 and had Jaguar in service in February 2022. Same gun, same era, 6 years from contract to soldiers. That comparison is uncomfortable, and it is fair. The criticism has been made at the highest level. The former Defense Secretary Ben Wallace wrote publicly in September 2025 that he had inherited Ajax, that it was overpriced and represented the very worst of indecision, and that Britain should simply have bought the CV9 0 years earlier. The counter-argument from the Ministry of Defence and from the officers who will actually fight the vehicle is that Ajax is not competing with an infantry fighting vehicle at all. It is a survivable sensor built for a doctrine of finding deep and striking deep, and switching platforms now would cost billions of pounds and years the Army does not have. The Strategic Defence Review of 2025 set out a structure of roughly 20% crewed armoured platforms, 40% expendable strike drones, and 40% reusable surveillance and loitering systems. Ajax sits inside that shrinking crewed tranche, and it is the only thing currently able to fill it. That argument would be far stronger if the vehicle had worked. Trials were halted in November 2020 over noise and vibration, resumed in March 2021, and stopped again that June. By December 2021, 310 personnel were assessed as having been exposed. 17 remained under specialist hearing care. 11 were recommended for long-term restrictions on noise exposure. 4 were medically discharged, though not all for hearing reasons. Payments to the contractor were frozen from December 2020 until March 2023. The National Audit Office reported in March 2022 that the ministry had not demonstrated value for money on the £3.167 billion spent by then. Its verdict was that the approach had been flawed from the very start because neither side understood the scale of what they had taken on. The Public Accounts Committee found the ministry had received 26 vehicles, none of which it could use. The review led by Clive Sheldon, King's Counsel, published in June 2023, found systemic and cultural failure. It concluded that optimism bias had infected the thinking of senior people, that concerns raised at junior levels from 2014 were dismissed as anecdotal, and that nobody stepped back to ask what was really going wrong for a very long time. Then came the recovery. The Army met its capability criteria in July 2025 and declared internally in September. The public announcement came on November 6th at the Merthyr production site, where the program sustains more than 4,100 jobs across more than 230 companies. A squadron of 27 deployable vehicles was held by the Household Cavalry Regiment at Bulford, drawn from a pool of 50 out of around 165 delivered. The minister said the vehicle had left its troubles behind. 16 days later, on Exercise Titan Storm, soldiers spent between 10 and 15 hours inside 23 Ajax vehicles on Salisbury Plain and reported symptoms afterwards. The figures given publicly have varied between around 30 and 35 personnel, depending on the source and the date, and that inconsistency is itself part of the story. No one was hospitalized. Use of the fleet was suspended within days. In January 2026, the capability declaration was formally withdrawn, the senior responsible owner was removed, and control of the program was taken away from the Army and handed to the National Armaments Director. The Defence Secretary, John Healey, told Parliament that the full facts had not been available before the decision, and that the choice now was to back it or scrap it. An Army safety investigation reported in April 2026. It found no single cause, and it found that measured noise and vibrations sat below legal exposure limits. The symptoms, it concluded, most likely came from a combination of factors, including incorrect track tension, loose or missing engine deck bolts, cold exposure, and air quality inside the vehicle. Acceptance of vehicles restarted on a deliberately slow, phased basis. That finding is the ministry's own, and it sits alongside separate legal claims in which the ministry has admitted fault to injured personnel. Both things are true at once. Ajax will replace the Scimitar. That much is now settled by the absence of any alternative, because the Scimitar is gone, sold, donated, and scrapped, and there is nothing else standing in the reconnaissance line. What took so long was never the engineering. It was a requirement written larger than the technology available, a contract signed before anyone understood it, and a culture that heard soldiers reporting harm and filed it as anecdote for 6 years. The Scimitar covered that gap for 9 years past its own funeral, and it covered it in Helmand, and it is covering part of it still in Ukraine under a different flag. The next decision is not technical. It is political, and it lands with the Defense Investment Plan, where Britain either commits the last stretch of money and time or writes off the largest armored vehicle program in a generation. Watch the phased restart and watch whether a single crew reports symptoms again, because that is the number that decides everything.